Hello everyone, it's Stamp Ventures with Shauna here, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Canada. Hope everybody's doing well today. Just going to reach across and see if I can get myself linked up with the iPad. Sometimes I manage to see a comment or two that comes through. So that's why I'm getting linked up here. Okie doke. There we go. I think I found it. Hello to Linda and Judy and a few other people who are just hopping on. Okay, there we go. Oh, yay. My screen's not just a blank black screen anymore. Hi, Sue. Hello. Thanks for hopping on and saying hello. If there are some other people there, give a shout or a wave or hit the laugh button, because it was Sue who shared this funny with me today, with a whole bunch of people today on Facebook, and I just thought it was the best. It is so cute, and don't we all feel like the cooked and risen gingerbread person who's just a little bit puffier after eating all the sweets from Christmas? Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you, Sue, for sharing that on Facebook today. I always get lots of great material from you, and I appreciate when you share these. Hello to Linda. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for joining me this evening. I am going to be sharing an instructions actually, on how to make a simple flip style photo album or a brag book. You might call it that too. You might have a few different words or ways of describing it. So this is how it works. This is the one I made several years ago, and this Christmas I had wanted to make up a little brag book, little flip album for my mom and dad from their anniversary this past summer. And so I got out some paper and started to do that, and it came together actually quite quickly and easily. And I thought, oh, you guys might want to learn how to make this too. So I'm going to move along to that in just a moment. Reminder that if you're here in the city of Moose Jaw, I'm going to be dropping off your January through June mini catalogs and your celebration brochures in the next day or two. So I have a whole list of people who I'll be dropping these off in their mailboxes. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like copies of these, let me know. I will be delivering to mailboxes here in Moose Jaw. I can also mail them out to anywhere in Canada. So yeah, you can let me know if you'd like to get your hands on these. And no, I'm not allowed to show you the insides of them yet. January 4th is when these two catalogs kick off, and then I'll be able to show you all the fun things that are inside. But the paper that I'm going to be using today is from one of the package of Designer Series paper that's in the January through June mini catalog. So this is going to be going into my little brag book today. And speaking of paper, I have figured out my paper share for the mini catalog. And so very quickly, I will show you the papers that will be included in the share. And because we're in such unprecedented times with problems with shipping and all that kind of thing, I am going to ask people to let me know by January the 3rd if they want to get in on my paper share, because like midnight or whenever this catalog goes live, I think it'll be just after midnight on January 4th, I'm going to order the papers so that you are able to receive your paper samples. So here, I'll quickly show you what's included in my paper share. I think there's over 70 pieces, samples of designer paper. So there are 12 different designs from the Abstract Beauty specialty paper, and you can see it's a specialty one because it's got gold shimmering on the one side. So 12 pieces in that. Ooh, I better be careful there. A little dent on the paper. This will be my pack of paper. And then there's this paper called the New Horizons. You might have noticed the Abstract Beauty is a little bit different because it's actually 6x4 pieces of paper. That would have worked really well in that album that I'm making today, because 6x4 is kind of the standard size of the pages, or variations of 6x4. So this one is called New Horizons, and there's lots of different kinds of sky and earth tones in it. Lots of kind of weather pictures. That reminds me, I should have shared my weather phrase of the day. Oh my goodness. My weather phrase is, what the wind chill? Here in Moose Jaw, we're going to be getting down to, with the wind chill, it's going to be feeling like minus 48 tonight. It's just crazy. And I know everybody in Western Canada is having very cold times. Like I've seen Victoria and Vancouver have hit all-time record lows, and yeah, it's crazy right now. So yeah, you can see it's like different weather pictures. They do kind of remind me of the West Coast a lot. This one could be Saskatchewan because there's, you know, some green pasture or something, but watercolored New Horizons. That's 12 pieces in that sampling pack. Here's two 6x6 papers of supple shimmer. There's a lighter bluish green and then a pinky color, and get one of each of those. And then you get, this is my paper share from the mini catalog that I'm talking about here. A 12 by 6 inch piece of mother of pearl, and it's super shiny, and it's very, it's almost like a window sheet on the front of this paper. It's very smooth and slippery. And you can see how it shimmers. And then there are 6 different designs of layering vellum pieces. And they have different kinds of writing on them, and I think 1 or 2 of them also look like they have maps. And the printing is either in white or black. So that's the specialty layering vellum. And here's some more specialty paper that's part of the paper share. Symbols of Fortune. Beautiful, beautiful paper. Some more specialty with golds and grays and whites. And here's the back with some pretty rosy colors in it. So 6 different samples of those papers. And then Valentine's paper. This is called the Sweet Talk Designer Series paper, and it's perfect for Valentine's Day. And that's the other thing, when I ordered right away January 4th, I know you'll receive all this paper samples, and for sure in time you'll receive it for Valentine's Day projects. So 6 different kinds of paper there, double-sided. And then there's this paper from the mini catalog called Hey Sports Fan. It's very much baseball. It's not just any particular sports. There's the diamonds and the bats and the baseballs and the pennants in the umpire's protector thing. I don't know what they call it. The umpire's vest, maybe, and gloves and hats, bat. Yeah. And then there's the other side, a little bit more colorful. So 6 different double-sided pieces of that in the paper share. Then there's the Heart and Home Designer Series paper. And I'll be using some of this today to make the little mini album that I share. Here we've got some natural colors. This one does make me think of like patterns of tile or dishes. I like the name of this, Heart and Home. This one kind of makes me think of fabric and some flowers from the garden. And here's the other side of that. All these different kind of planks and wood grain papers. I really like these sides to be photographing my cards. I've been using that a lot lately to photograph my backgrounds to photograph my hand stamped cards. Also in my paper share is 6 different pieces, double-sided pieces of flowering fields. These are beautiful, beautiful tulip pieces. Just love the vibrant colors in this. These after having these minus 40 whatever-ish days, these just bring joy and happiness to me, seeing these lovely colors and knowing that there is the hope of spring and it's coming after we get through all this. And some softer designs on the back side. So 6 different double-sided designs of that paper. This next pack of paper is called Artfully Composed. I had to write all the names of these paper packs down because there's no way I would remember them all. This one I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not, but I quite like, I think it's the mint macaron that's in there. And it reminds me of a tropical vacation and kind of wishing I was on a tropical vacation right now. But yeah, jungly and tropically on that side. And then this side was a little bit more plain, sort of standard, smaller print designs. So small designs and large tropical designs. And finally, after all of those packages of designer paper were added to the paper share, I discovered that I would be able to give everybody who participates in the paper share also a quarter package of the Daffodil Afternoon celebration paper. So you'll get as a bonus 6 pieces of the daffodil, double-sided Daffodil Afternoon paper, and it's very, very bold and pretty and just quite a unique combination of colors. There's the one side, and here are the patterns on the other side, a little bit more subtle. I love this plaid here. I've already made a card with this pattern. I'm going to be including that card tutorial in my thank you tutorial of thank you tutorials going out to people who shop with me in the past month or 2. And so, yeah, if you are interested in my paper share from all the papers from the mini catalog, let me know by January 3rd at the very latest, because I'm going to get ordering that right away. Okay, so on to the project. Should just double check and see. Oh, we've got a few more people who have hopped on. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks, and hello, Pam. Yeah, we had a good Christmas. It was a little bit strange for a while there because my dad took sick for a bit. My sister ended up taking him to the emergency room, but he's doing a lot better now. So that was great. Hello, Linda and Brenda and Emmy. Oh, Emmy, you like the flowers. Yeah, there's a lot of flowered papers coming up in this mini catalog because we're going to be moving into spring. Yay spring. Okay, so to get started, we're going to do the base of the brag book first. So you need 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock. And we're going to be cutting and scoring these each a little bit differently. I've created a pattern. I just took some of the backing sheets of paper or cardboard that come in with our designer series paper, and I've created some patterns. So this is the pattern that we're going to use first. And if you want to take a screenshot of this, grab it right now, because it shows where exactly we're going to score, and I'll talk you through it, but you might want to have this to refer back to. So we're going to score at 2.5 and 9.5 vertically, and then 3 3/4, 4, 8 and 8 1/4 horizontally, and then we're going to cut away the 4 corners. So you can use your paper scorer and trimmer if you like, but because I happen to like to use my Simply Scored tool, that's what I'm going to use for this, but either will work. Okay, so yeah, my dad's doing all right, Pam. Thanks for asking. He needed some a little help from the doctors and nurses. He required a catheter, and he had felt much better after he got that, and now he's got an appointment to see a specialist who will hopefully get things sorted out for him. Okie doke. So we're going to do our vertical scoring first at 2.5 inches and at 9.5 inches, just like that. And then I'm going to turn my paper sideways, and we'll score at the horizontal lines 3 3/4 and 4 inches, 8 inches, and 8 1/4. And I mentioned that we're kind of working with that sort of that 6 by 4. This is a little bit narrower than 4 inches, but that's kind of what we've done here, is working in the 6 by 4 parts for each of the flip part of the book. I think, yeah, we'll do the cutting of the corners next here. And I'll put my Simply Scored tool away for now. I'll grab my paper trimmer, because now I want to cut out the 4 corners. We don't really need those. You can use your paper snips if you want, but I kind of like that I can go a little bit straighter with the cuts with my paper trimmer. And I'm going to cut, I don't know if you can see this here, but I'm going to cut these little double scored lines off. We don't need the double. It's just that one single edge that will be there that's left. So I'm going to line up my paper trimmer with the second score line and trim that, and then I might as well do all of, might as well do all of my vertical lines that I'm on right here, right now. So I don't have to keep moving I'll just make sure that that score line is, it's lined up with the cutting track there. So got those vertical lines done. And here we'll go back this direction, stop at the second scored line there, and there we go. So we've got 4 flaps that are pretty much flying free. Now I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to always score on the inside score line and go right to intersect with the other. So that's going to pop out. Ooh, that came out really nicely. I wasn't sure if it was going to come out that easily, or if I was going to have to give it a little tug. Sometimes a thread of paper just wants to hold on there. There we go. That one's out. Now we'll go the other way to the second inside score line. Make sure that the score line is lined up with the track, cutting track. And here we go. How did I do? I might need to go back a little bit closer to about something like that. Okay. So there we've got the base of our brag book. And so there's a double score line there to fold. And I think I'm going to grab, this will probably just be easiest if I grab this little ruler, because I'm finding when I fold a double score line, and actually I'm going to turn this over and fold it this way. So I'm folding the bump in. When you're folding a double score line, sometimes it's hard you get the first lines folded, but then it's hard to get the second one folded. So if I have a ruler there, it'll help me to pull it up, and there we go. So there's my double score line ready to go. It's made a bit of a pocket there, and I'm going to be able to fit lots of pictures in there. And here's the second one. Maybe I'll do the inside one first. Inside score line, there we go. And then the outside score line. All right, so, and going to notice these flaps are a little bit small, but that's what the second piece of 12 by 12 cardstock is for, is to create the extensions on the brag book. And this is how it will all come together. Okay, so we're going to go on to the extensions. So you need your second piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, and I have a pattern for this piece as well. So let's see, where is my pattern? Here we go. We're going to cut 4 inches down, and then we're going to cut another 4 inches down, so 4 and 8, and then we're going to not cut. We're going to score at 6 inches. This piece at the bottom is spare cardstock, and you might want to use that for a mat for the inside of your album, or to punch or die cut accent pieces, something like that. Oh, if you needed to grab a screenshot, this is cardstock piece number 2. So just be sure to note that you cut on 2 lines and then you score in the center. Okay, so move that pattern out of the road, and there we go. This time I'm just going to use my scoring and my trimming tool, because I'm going to cut first, and then that piece that's extra doesn't have a score line going through it. I can leave it for whatever I might be able to use it for later. So this is 4 inches that I'm cutting at, and then I'm going to cut it another 4 inches. And I never did say what color of cardstock, of 12 by 12 cardstock that I'm using, but this is our early espresso. So there's my extra piece. I'm going to put it away for now, but I can use it for something for later. And now I'm going to remember to use my scoring blade, and I'm going to score these in half at 6 inches. Oh, I don't need to extend my cutter, because there we go. There's the 6 right there. I like how it's got that that little border that it bumps up against, and you know you've hit the 6 inches. So there is the arm extender for one part of the brag book, and do the same thing again, 6 inches, arm extender for the other part of the brag book. And maybe we'll glue these on right now. So then our base will be pretty much finished up and ready to go with this, be ready for the second layer, the designer paper layers. So basically we're going to lay this little flap over the extender arm like this and glue it down, and same thing for the other side. And let's see now, how did I decide before when I was doing this? I know, I folded it. So I've got this one flap folded, and I'm going to just cover this with my liquid adhesive, and I'm going to lay this on top just like that. And when I lay this on top, I want to make sure that this piece extends straight across, so we've got a nice horizontal lines, parallel horizontal lines going across, and it's not like, you know, going off at an angle or something. So this flap is just going to be there to make sure that this piece, the extender piece, is going straight. Lots of little things that you can do to help kind of get your little brag book straight and on track. Oh my goodness, have I ever got a big blob of dried glue there? Okay, see if that makes it a little bit better. There we go. I was thinking that this particular bottle of glue is getting low. I don't know how much longer it's going to last me, and I don't like buying liquid glue at this time of year because sometimes it freezes solid on the delivery truck and then it gets all clumpy and doesn't work very well. Okay, so here's why we use liquid glue. Now I can just adjust this slightly so that there, it's going straight across, and I'll give this a little bit extra pressure. There we go. One arm of our brag book is done. And this has this overlap seam here, but it's going to be covered by some of the designer paper, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you're really particular, you can go in with your scissors and trim off if there's just a little bit of difference in the height where the two of those pieces meet. So we're going to do the same thing here with the other side of the brag book. Just put this flap down and use a little bit of liquid adhesive and line it up along the fold line, and then the other line up is just going across to make sure it's horizontal and lined up with the other flap. So it's all nice and straight. Okay, so basically there is the main parts of the book. So this folds in like that, and this arm folds in like that, and then the bottom folds up and the top folds down. I'm going to do two more things. I'm going to do some corner rounding right away because I know when I made the book for my mom and dad, I totally forgot to round corners until the end, and then it was harder, and I didn't get any of the designer papers rounded because they were already stuck on. So I'm going to try and remember to do that first. And the other thing is we're going to adhere the magnets, if I can find them. Okay, magnets. If you don't have magnets, you can use an extra piece of designer paper and create a belly band that will go around it and kind of hold it shut, and then it can slide on and off. But if you do have magnets, or if you don't have magnets, but you have like one of these like cases that, you know, has the magnetized little magnets in it, the magnetized closure, you can actually go in and cut this apart and pull the magnets out. I've done that. And now I am on a mission to find all the magnetized little closures that we have in our house that would just normally end up probably in the garbage anyways. And I'm saving them for these kinds of projects. So here's two little magnets that I cut out from another box. You can buy these too somewhere, but I'm like, hey, if you've got them for free, why bother buying them? You can see that the paper from the packaging that I got it from is still kind of stuck to it. And you want to put the magnets on first so that then when you cover and glue the designer paper on top, the magnets will be hidden. And so I'm sticking the magnets together because I want to see which way they're going to attract to one another and not repel. And grab a couple, oh, there's a glue dot on the outside. Okay. Ooh. Okay. You know what? I want to load this up with glue dots. I want to make sure that this magnet is not going to come off. Got about 4 of them. And let's see, I'll put that maybe right about there. Is that kind of sort of halfway-ish? It's going to be covered anyways. So, and just like that. And then I'll grab, maybe I should use my take your pick tool. I'm going to load the other side up. This is the second magnet. It's just stuck to the bottom one. Load it up with glue dots as well. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to close this so then I know where the magnet matches up on the top flap. Now, I want to pull this apart. There we go, without having, oh, just realized that the little cover, there's a little cover on this one magnet and it came off. I think that's what it was. It was a cover that came off. There, yeah. There we go. The cover will not come off once that is covered up with the designer paper. Okay, so that was the magnet part. They don't look pretty, but they'll look better afterwards. And now I'm going to go in and I'm going to round my corners, and it's not required, but with a brag book, you're pulling it out and showing it to people and looking at it and folding it, opening it and closing it. And sometimes the corners get a little dog-eared. And so I suggest that if you have a corner rounder like the one that's in our trio punch here, that you use that. It'll be, just keep your corners looking nicer a little bit longer. Okay. Just about ready to go on to the designer paper part of this. I should let you know, oh, I didn't do that very well. I should let you know I'm not going to decorate, other than putting the basic pieces of designer paper on, I'm not going to decorate my brag book today. I'll do that another day. I'm just going to show you how the basic way of putting it together is, and then we can take time to decide how we want to decorate after that. So, okay. I'll set this to the side here, and we'll go on to the designer paper parts. And I have some patterns for the designer paper parts as well. So, hang tough. You'll need two full pieces of 12 by 12, plus another partial piece. I think this is 6 3/4 by 12 inches. I was really hoping I was going to be able to do the whole book with just 2 pieces of designer paper, but it doesn't really work out all that well, and you'll see what I mean. You need to have a third piece. So the next pattern I'm going to show you looks like this. And we want to cut 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. And we want to cut it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not done. 7, 8 times using those 2 pieces that are the same. So 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And you're going to see that there's not much left here of that 12 by 12 piece. Uses it up pretty well. So good way to use up some of your designer paper. On this one, you're going to have a little bit left here. Then you're going to have some different sizes that you cut below it. So we're going to have to make sure we do the long horizontal cut there first, because then these can be cut differently at the bottom. And this is going to be, it can be leftover paper, but if your designer paper is non-directional, like if it's just got bees that are going in all kinds of directions and flowers and whatnot, you can then use a long narrow piece here. But if your pattern paper definitely has an up and down direction to it, then you'll want to use this third piece for your next cut. Okay, so back to the trimmer score, and I want to cut these into lengths of 3 3/4, and I'm turning it sideways. So 3 3/4, 1, 3 3/4, 2, and 3 3/4, 3. This is some spare paper for maybe something else or recycle. And then we need that to do that once more. 3 3/4, putting it in sideways. 3 3/4, 4. So I'll be using this in just a little bit. But now I'll go back and turn these papers up and down. So I guess I'm just looking at it. Sometimes it looks like this paper could, I think the bumblebees are a little bit more upside down when they're that way. So I'm going to keep them all with the bumblebees the right side up. And I can cut 2 at a time because the designer paper is a little bit thinner. And I'll score these. Oh, now I'm going to have to extend the trimmer arm here at 5 3/4. No, I'm not going to have to extend the trimmer arm. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's not till later. 5 3/4. So 5 3/4. There's 2 there. And 5 3/4. Whoops, they're not lined up. Better make sure I'm not rushing this too much. 5 3/4. There's 2 more. So right now, just like that, I've got 4 designer pieces, and that's enough pieces of designer paper for 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of this arm. Now we have to do the same thing for the other arm. And I'm just going to check my comments to see if any questions have come through, because sometimes people are wondering, like, what the heck are you doing? And or I'm lost, or I need that extra minute to catch up. There's another 5 3/4, so there's 2 more, and 5 3/4. 2 more. And I think I'm going to glue those into the album right now so that I don't lose track of all my pieces. We'll work at sections at a time. So these are going to go, okay, now I have to think which is up and which is down. There we go. 1, 2, and then on the other side of the arm, 3 and 4. And with this particular piece here, before I glue them down, can't get ahead of myself. I'm going to use the corner rounder to match up the rounded corners here on the end of the arm extension. So yeah, I think those two are ready to be glued. I'm going to pull out my liquid glue again just so I have a little bit of wiggle room. I'd have to say, when I made this album for my mom and dad for Christmas, it was the first time in a really, really long time that I had gotten photographs printed. I'm pretty good at taking them with my phone, but I've been not good at all lately at getting the photographs printed. And it's not that we necessarily need to print every photograph that we take, but it's nice to print some of them to save and look back on. And it just kind of reminded me I need to do that a little bit more. And I don't know if any of you also find the same thing with now that we have phones. It's not as big of a deal getting them printed as when it was when they were just on a roll of film in your camera and you had no idea how they were going to turn out. Okay, now so I've turned this upside down. So I'm doing the back here, and I want to round off these two corners. 1, 2, like that. Okay, so the glue, this paper, the designer series paper, Heart and Home, does not have early espresso in it, but I'm using the early espresso as the base of the album. It's neutral enough, I think, and I think that early espresso, it goes nicely with the cinnamon cider that's in the designer paper. Okay, almost done this one arm. There we go. Okay, a little wiggle. So, oops, I think I just bonked the camera lifting that up. So there we go. You can see there's the one folded arm that extends out and folds in, and it's done. Now I'm going to grab the other 4 pieces here. There's that one, and this one I'm going to round those corners right away. 1, 2. You need a lot of space to do these albums because they really spread out quite wide. So it's like 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like 5 times 6 is like 30 inches across. Oh, what the heck. I'll put my glue on both pieces right away. I'll live dangerously. There we go. There, I just stuck my hand in the one. Okay. So pictures are going to be glued onto this designer paper. Whoop. So you're not going to see a lot of it. And I decided to go for paper that didn't have a ton of different colors and patterns on it. Something that was just a little bit less distracting for the pictures that will be going glued on top of those. Okay, and so then I can do this piece and I can round the corners here. One, 2. All right. We're almost ready to go on to the next round of cutting. feel like my fingers are getting stickier and stickier as I go. There we go. Last one. Piece number 8 is going on to the album here. Okay. Now we've got just a little bit of decorating left to do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more pieces of designer paper. If you really wanted to, you could do a 5th piece down here on the back, but I'm not going to bother with that. And so we need to cut a little bit more paper, and we've got different dimensions. These flaps, 1, 2, 3, 4, are all the same. And then this centerpiece is a completely different dimension. So I'm going to go back to this. I used these last 2 pieces, number 7 and 8, on this arm extension here. And then I've got 3.5 by 6 3/4, 1 and 2, twice here. And then for my last patterned paper, I've got 3 and 4 of 3.5 by 6 3/4. And then I've got a completely different size here, which is 3 3/4 by 6 3/4, and that's going to be the centerpiece on the inside. And so I'm going back to this. You can see I've cut those pieces off. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut this down at 6 3/4 and then make 2 3.5 pieces there. So here's where I'm going to need to extend the arm on my cutting tool. 6 3/4 and cut like that. You might use that or you might not. And then 3.5. 3.5. 3.5. So there's the flaps front and back there, and I need 2 more like that. So now I'm going to pull in this piece, and we'll have some contrasting designs, and it's already 6 3/4. So I'll cut 2 more at 3.5. Three and a half, and 3.5, and I'll be using this later. I'm working in sections so I don't get things too mixed up. So one of these pieces is going to go on the outside cover, and I should pull these flaps in now. You can see where we created that extra depth in there. It's going to make room for all the pictures that you're going to load up in the brag book. And so this piece is, I've decided I want to go on the front. And then I think I'm going to put this design on the bottom flap so that when it does close shut, you do get a little bit of a contrast. This is different than this. But if you don't like the contrast, you could do both the same. Actually, that's not a bad idea too. I don't mind that either. Maybe I don't want a contrast. This time I'm going to go do them both the same. But you might want them to be different. I'm going to go like this. I just changed my mind. Yeah, I guess you're allowed to do that. When you're a maker, you're allowed to change your mind on what you make. Okay, so remember to around the corners. Oh boy, let's get this one in there properly. There we go. So I can glue the front down. And when I put the, no, the glue's going to go on this just the regular way. I thought there was a magnet, but that's not till we get to the inside flaps. Okay, so one front flap there. Already starting to think about, okay, how am I going to decorate this? I really haven't decided yet at all how I'm going to decorate it, but that's a project for the next few days. I mean, it looks already nice with the designer paper that's on it, but there's more that we'll be able to do with it. And I'm just going to check the comments here and see if anybody has any questions that are popping up. Brenda says, I usually use black for your album. Yeah, black is a great, just a versatile, all around, you know, can be used for any album just about. It's such a just a great neutral. Oh, and hi Tracy. Yeah, here I am. Yeah, you caught me. And it takes a few minutes to work through all the measurements of this project, but once you get it all cut and scored, it's basically like putting a puzzle together. Now what I thought I'd do, and I did this for the album I made for my mom and dad, is I put a little bit of extra glue over that magnet. So I'm just making sure it's going to stay glued down. I'm kind of doing this wrong. I should have put the glue on the back of the designer paper, but oh well. There we go. There are glue dots. For those of you who are just tuned in, the magnets are stuck down right now with glue dots, but I don't want them shifting around underneath the designer paper, so I thought I'd use just a little bit extra glue there. The album that I did make for my mom and dad, I used navy as the base for the cardstock, and that was a nice option too. Okay, so we've got the front flap, we've got, I guess that's the top flap, and then we've got the bottom flap, and then we've got the inside top and the inside bottom. And I need the corner rounder for one last go. There's still the centerpiece, and the centerpiece doesn't have any rounded corners, so I don't need to use the corner rounder after this. All right, here we go. And just as with the last one, I'm going to put a little bit extra liquid glue on there to make sure that that's not going to go anywhere. And this time I'll put the glue around the edges here. Would have been kind of a cool album, maybe, to have the wood tone too, and just looking at that would work for nature or masculine type of album. There we go. It looks a lot more finished once those magnets are covered up. Okay, and it is a little lumpy there, and maybe there's even thinner magnets out there. But once you get your picture glued on too, it's thicker and you don't feel the bump as much. And it's so nice when it just clicks together with the magnet. It just holds right into place. But like I said, if you don't have access to magnets, a belly band around it works nicely too. Okay. Oh, I'm quite liking all these patterns and how they're coming together. So the last piece of designer paper will go right here in the center, all square corners. And it is, again, it's as with these upper and lower pieces, it's 6 3/4 inches wide. And this one, where is my pattern? It's, no, wrong pattern. It's this pattern. It's 3 3/4 inches tall. And you can see that's the one that I've got for the center piece of the inside. And then if you have a full piece of 12 by 12 paper, you can take an extra 1.5 inch, whatever you'd like, however wide you'd like it to be, and use that to create the belly band if you don't have any magnets. So I need to come in and just trim this to 3 3/4. I kind of like, because I've got the pattern all going in the same direction, it's kind of neat how those flowers are growing up like that. And that's just the one thing you kind of want to remember when you're making one of these albums, is if you've got directional paper, you want to pay attention to which direction that you're cutting it. And then if it's like random, stars and circles and nothing that's in a particular direction, it doesn't matter. You can just go and cut it and glue it in any direction. Okay. So there we go. We'll take one last look at it. We've got the 2 side arms, and each side arm holds 4 photos. So there's 4. 5th photo, 6, 7. And if you want to put a small narrow one here, 8. Am I counting right? Hang on. Let's see. Let's do this again. No, I think it's more. I think there's, got to do it this way first. The arm's going first. Not 4, it's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 photos, 10 photos, 11 photos. And you could put a narrow one here, because I don't think you'd want it hanging down there. Me personally, anyways. So 8, 9, 10, 11, could have 12 photos in your little brag book. And that's how it goes together. And yeah, they're really fun. And if you've got loads of designer paper on hand, like I do, it's a great way to use up some of that paper and create a really nice album for yourself or a gift for somebody. And like I was saying, if you don't have the magnets, you can create a belly band. The one thing that I'd recommend about the belly band is that you don't glue it on too tightly, because once you put the pictures in, you're going to find that it gets quite a bit thicker. Like mine had 12 pictures, and it really expanded the album. And it still closed nicely. The magnet still worked really, really well, but it just does make it thicker. So make sure that if you're using the belly band, put it on very loosely, or maybe don't create the belly band until you've actually put the pictures in it. So you can see I've got a bit of extra space in there for it to expand. And you can decorate something on the outside of the belly band, or You can just do decorations right on the front flap, maybe a saying or some words, some information with the dates and what might be happening for the inside of the book or who it's for. The sky is the limit, and I'm looking forward to coming up with something that I might be able to decorate with on the front for this and getting into my new mini catalog items. So keep an eye out on my page. I'll try and share a picture of what the finished version of this looks like. And thank you so much for joining me tonight to see how this album went together. And if you have any questions, give me a shout. I'm Stamp Ventures with Shauna here in Moose Jaw, and I'd love to help you with your paper crafting projects. Keep in mind that I have until January 3rd to hear from you if you want to get in on my mini catalog paper share, and you'll receive over 70 pieces of the designer papers from our new January through June mini catalog. Thanks again for joining me, everyone, and have a great night. Bye-bye for now.